Bases dropped on Soccer's morning show. Soccer down here. Tuesday thoughts. John, hear you there. All right. A couple of things before we get into the morning. Once again, reminder, Thursday is going to be a best of day. So as we go here this week, let me know what you want to hear while you are doing your cooking, your cleaning, your errand running, what have you. Let me know what you want posted on the network. We've gotten some requests. Obviously, the MLS All-Star Game Fix is going to get posted. We've got some requests for some soccer over there where we're discussing mascots and Bentner and the Cardis and all of that stuff. So if there's anything that you want in the rundown for Thursday postings for shows, let me know. Once again, let us know here in the Twitch pitch, and we'll roll through it. Let's see. So today's traffic, Maddy Cruz is coming in to vent her spleen in a little bit after the highlights and post. Bart Keeler coming in. We will discuss things from his perspective about what happened last night and obviously what's on your guys' minds this morning when it comes to what happened last night. And to Ricky's point, yes, Atlanta is home of soccer in the Western Hemisphere. We'll get into that a little bit, too, in news of the day. So Maddy will come in early, and she'll let you know, well, we'll go through what happened. She'll let you know what's on her mind this morning. Then she'll leave for a little bit. She'll come back. Bart comes in at 10:30. We'll see how much aspirin Bart has had since the match ended last night with the USMNT losing in Trinidad and Tobago, but advancing to the semifinal. Once again, we'll get into the highlights in just a little bit. So whatever is on your mind this morning, once again, news of the day. We'll get into all of that as we go here this morning. Let's see. So don't know, Michael. I would imagine so, that you wouldn't be announcing like Los Angeles and Miami and Atlanta just to get beginnings and ends if you weren't going to get a middle. But the final's going to be played at Hard Rock. Mercedes-Benz gets the first match. And, the announcement of the groups is December 7, I believe, in Miami. And CONCACAF, I'm sure, will let us all know what the groups are then. It's the 10 CONMEBOL teams, 6 teams from this hemisphere, and that'll get announced in short order. But we'll go over that announcement and all the news of the day. There's stuff with Tottenham, which makes me feel more and more like the Premier League is turning into the NCAA. We'll get into that. There's other things. So, yes, CONMEBOL decided to tease Copa America yesterday, saying Atlanta's getting the first match, Miami's getting the last match, LA's getting matches, semifinals. So we'll look at all of that stuff coming up in just a little bit. So, all right, let's get into last night. And I know that there's some of you that I'm quite sure, you got questions, you got things to talk about. You want to talk about it, go ahead and lay it out in the Twitch pitch because we'll roll through it. And Ricky, if Argentina's playing somebody here in the opener, could you imagine Argentina and U.S. at Mercedes-Benz? Just saying. All right, let's go through what happened last night in Trinidad and Tobago. U.S. loses 2-1. Here's your highlights of the match. And it's courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Sports. We're using their version because it gives us an excuse to hear Andres Cantor. And so let's, U.S. took a little while for the engine to turn over, but the U.S. gets the first goal on the board, and it's 1-0 at this point with this particular action, once again, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Sports.
Lo que pasa es que cuando Balogun se tira al costado como ahora, ¿ves? Pepe aparece. ¡Ah, qué buena gol! De Estados Estados Unidos. Anthony Robinson lo hizo. ¡Qué golazo! 1-0. Y la Copa América, que está ahí, a nada para Estados Unidos.
De lateral a lateral. Serginho Dest por la derecha, levanta la cabeza, mete el centro. Pepi que se adelanta y el balón llega ya al segundo poste. Se duerme Alvin Jones, el lateral por el otro costado de Trinidad y Tobago.
Great work from Jedi there to make it 1-0. Once again, Andres Cantor on the call. Andres Cantor and friends, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Sports. Then the moment I know that's going to take up a lot of the conversation today. And we do have Tim Ream discussing it after the fact. So in the 30s, Serginho Dest felt that there was a foul in the offensive half that didn't get called. Then as he was trying to keep a ball from going over the touchline, he thought he did, and it was ruled that he did not. So picks up a yellow, then punts the ball into the stands. Well, it's by the end of it all. Punts the ball into the stands, blows kisses to the ref, and so it was bang, bang, 2 yellows in about 30 seconds. Serginho Dest is gone. Here was how it was called once again, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Sports last night. Andres Cantor on the call.
Ojo, aquí se va a ganar la tarjeta amarilla. Aquí tiene que ser amonestado.
Pero ¿qué tarjeta tanto?
Y ojo que no le saquen la roja.
Claro.
Está caliente por aquella del que cobraron lateral cuando le pegaron a él. Ah, bueno, esta es doble amarilla. Si no la saca, sí, el árbitro no puede dirigir nunca más. Le tiró un beso. Tiene que ser expulsado. Lo tratan de calmar los jugadores. Ahí está, doble amarilla. Muy bien Walter López. Pero muy bien Walter López. Una tontería, porque ahora no podrá jugar el próximo partido de este torneo, que es la semifinal de la Liga de Naciones. Por la reacción del público, quiero pensar que le mostraron la segunda amarilla.
Quiero pensar eso. No es por esto. O sea, se enoja por la anterior, claro, la que él pensaba que era falta, pero sí se va.
Sí, se va expulsado con doble amarilla y se va peleando árbitro, con Matt Turner. Muy bien.
Sí, se va peleado con todos porque lo están regañando.
So basically what Andres Cantor and the crew were saying is they had better camera angles than the U.S. broadcast. And they caught it in quick succession that he picked up the second yellow. It was like, gets the first yellow, gets the second yellow. That means he gets the red and he's gone. Andres Cantor makes the point that Serginho Dest is out for the semifinal. Literally right there on the spot. I mean, Andres Cantor was on it. Serginho Dest not available for the semifinal. So it's 1-0 at that point. Then you end up 3 minutes later with this goal. Matt Turner beaten on the short side. U.S. down to 10. Once again, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Sports.
Mayúscula para un jugador que ya tiene un mundial encima. Ojo con esta de Carter Vickers. A nada de hacer penal. ¡Gol! ¡Gol! De Trinidad y Tobago lo hizo Moore. ¿En qué momento? Justo cuando decíamos, menos mal que está 1-0 el partido. Mire aquí, a nada Carter Vickers de hacer penal. Brutal remate, le sacó las manos también el arquero Turner al remate. Lo empató Trinidad y Tobago.
Es un golazo. ¿Sabes qué le pasa? Que se resbala Turner. Cuando va a ir arriba, ahí vemos el pie derecho, cómo se le va, y eso ya le impide llegar un poco más arriba en una buena oportunidad. Así había que definirla, tenía ya poco ángulo.
All right, so then 1-1, 3 minutes later, Matt Turner beaten to the short side, and it was, I mean, Moore had no space at all, gets it over the left shoulder on the near post, over Matt Turner, 1-1. Then it would be a fantastic free kick that would make it 2-1. That's your final, 4-2 on the aggregate. After the match, and this is a little bit chopped up, but so it might be lacking in the depth of the sound bite. But Tim Ream was asked after the match what he thought about what went down with Serginho Dest. So once again, courtesy of our friends at US Soccer, here is somewhat of an edited version of what Tim Ream said post-match last night. Unless, of course, I upload the wrong file. That's good for me. All right. Nothing like that. All right. So basically, Tim Ream said that there were things that he traditionally would not say that were said after the match. So let's see if we can actually upload the right thing. And nothing like, maybe if I click the right file, maybe that's what happened. If I just click the right file, perhaps then that would do it. Did I upload did I? No, I didn't. I'm an idiot. All right, so there's Maddy. She's going to filibuster while I upload what I thought was the proper thing, but no, it was not. So I know that you wanted to vent your spleen temporarily, so go for it.
Oh, Lord. I mean, what is there not to talk about? Everything was crazy. I mean, I was watching the game, and it was just we came in, we looked good when Robinson got the header and we went up 1-0. I was like, okay, we're chilling. I'm like, this is great. 4-0 aggregate, we're chilling.
Uh-huh.
And then Dest decided to, do that. And we're now down 10 men, which is crazy because I watched that in time and I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, there's no way. I was like, what are you saying? I was like, stop talking. and then it just kept happening. And then, he was getting like pushed off and then he kept going. And I was like, okay. I was like, something's up here. So then we go down 10 men and I was like, oh God, I'm like, this is not good.
You weren't the only one.
And then we came back in. And then the one thing that I think confused me the most, which finding out now what I do know, it was that Gio Reyna's substitution was planned.
Yes.
I get that. And I get that it was planned when you weren't going to be going to 10 men. Now you're 10 men. I feel like that changes. Why would you keep in Balogun and Pepe when you're down 10 men and take off Gio Reyna, who's in the midfield? That doesn't make sense to me. That was one thing that confused me just because I'm like, I get that it was planned. I understand why. I get it. But that was before, and that was when you were playing with 11 men. You're not playing with 10. And so you have to adjust there. And that's kind of where that confused me. And then bringing on Tillman instead of Miles Robinson confused me even more because I was like, if you're trying to defend, why wouldn't he come on? And it just, the whole game, the whole second half really stressed me out. And I was really confused. I was so confused. Everything was really terrifying for me.
You weren't the only one. So we'll discuss this also with Bart when he comes in at 10:30. And I actually found the file because I was chasing after the wrong named file. I hit the right button, activated the wrong thing. So here's your post from Tim Ream. He was not pleased.
There was no explanation. The best guess that we have is he thought there was a foul down in the attacking half, and then maybe felt that the ball didn't go out of play on the ball that I played over to him. But I don't think either one of those really warrant the reaction that came. Yeah, there's not too many things that I can say here publicly that we said privately. Disappointment, but I think overall it's a complete lack of respect for the guys that are playing, for the guys that are on the bench. Feeling of a lack of respect for the game itself, for the referees. We knew, and we talk about it every time we come down here. Every time you're in a CONCACAF game, that anything can happen. So, not to give an excuse, for anything like that to happen. So, for me, just a feeling of disrespect, to be completely honest with you, and that's something that he needs to understand, because it completely changes the game, but then it completely changes any type of potential plan of guys coming in and subs off the bench, throws that completely out of whack. So just disrespect overall.
So Tim Ream, once again, courtesy of our friends at US Soccer, Maddy, less than pleased and was reading your notes.
Yep. And I mean, I don't blame him. Well, because I think what was really funny to me that someone pointed out on Twitter, but I was like, you know what? This makes sense. It's actually, no, it was the Total Soccer Show. I was watching them and they said this. They were like, it's one thing to get like a red card, like in the second half, all that stuff. But he got it like 4 minutes before going into halftime.
You're in the late 30s. You're in the late 30s, and you get a red.
Yeah, so like, and your team's gonna go back in the halftime, and you're in the locker room, and they're gonna rip you a new one. Not to mention they were already doing it on the field too, which I mean, I would have done the same thing. I mean, I think what was so excessive to me about it was, he got the second yellow, then he got the red, and then he just kept going, kept like blowing kisses to the ref, kept saying stuff, and I was like, what is going on? And we know Serginho Dest is a hothead. We know this. Like, this is nothing new. And I think the one thing that makes me mad though is, I mean, I'm seeing stuff on Twitter and on, Instagram, and people are like, oh, he should not be able to come up and play for the U.S. men's national team anymore. And I'm like, he's one of our best right backs. Like, he's one of our best. I know that this is definitely something that it's going to take time to learn from. I don't think it's warranting, like suspension completely. I think something he needs to grow from. He's a talented player, but I think he needs to learn to get his emotions under control.
A friend of the show, Michael Parkhurst, on the 280 character app last night, had two things to say. One, quote, one of the most selfish acts I've ever seen from a player, never mind an experienced USMNT player, period, incredible. And the follow-up, once the video came out, and then, of course, it was eventually disabled in response to a report by the copyright owner. So you just have Michael's one-liner. It needs to talk to someone for real.
Yep. I mean, I agree with them. I think it was very in the moment and everything else, it's a game where you were ahead 3-0 coming in. You were then 4-0. Mm-hmm. You allowed them to then score 2 to cut it in half. That moment, it should have, and we should not have lost that game last night. It should not have been 2-1. Mm-mm. It should not. And it was unwarranted. It was completely like, it was just out of nowhere. It was very selfish. It was not professional. And why he did it, I don't think we'll ever know why he did it. I don't think that they'll come out and say anything like that just because, I just don't think that'll get talked about. But I mean, I agree with Michael. I saw that too, and I liked it because I was like, yep. I was like, exactly. I'm like, it's selfish, because you're not thinking of just yourself. You have a full, 10 other people you're playing on that pitch with. And you got to think about that.
Yes. All right. So here's the rundown of the early thoughts from the Twitch pitch, and we'll run through them here. Ricky, I'm glad Dest apologized, but man, he lost it. That's not a good omen for him because that as we see in other sports, that the tape is out. You got coaches looking at tendencies. You got coordinators looking at, okay, if this lineman's going to do this, if his stance is one way, then they're going to run. Stance is another way, they're going to pass. You got coordinators looking at this stuff. You got coaches looking at this stuff around the planet sitting there going, okay. We know now what we can do. We can kind of poke Serginho Dest in the sternum a little bit, and sooner or later he's going to sit there and go over the edge.
Absolutely. I think it's good he apologized. I saw his Instagram post, and I think it's good that he's taking accountability for what happened. I think there's definitely growth there, but it's definitely not a good look for him now going into possibly, I mean, he obviously won't be playing in the semifinals. So, I mean, that doesn't really matter. He won't be playing in the semis. But I mean, going into Copa America, you have that, and it's like, it's like you said, people are going to now know, okay, if I poke Dest just a little bit over the edge, then we can get something. And that's just not good.
Yeah. And that CONMEBOL teams are going to definitely do that. Yeah. Knicks. Morning all except Serginho Dest, who should never, and this is in all caps, never wear the crest again. So, yeah, Knicks is all kinds of fired up. Michael had Dest, wow, will he ever grow up or always be a potential liability? That is the key question from this moment forward.
I agree. I think it's something that Berhalter and the entire coaching staff is going to have to, talk about and establish when they're, talking about who's going to get called up, who's going to be put in the game, what's going to be happening, what are the stakes? Because, he needs to hopefully learn something from this moment and say, okay, you know what? I need to breathe. And I get it. The game is full of adrenaline. You're running, things are happening. I understand that. We as fans, we understand that. But you need to have some level of composure when it comes to like a silly foul like that. If it was a situation where like a player was hit or something like that, I feel like the story would be a little bit different. But it's because it was just because of a foul where the ball might have been still in play and then proceeded to do what he did. That is where I'm like, okay, he needs to, figure out where he needs to like take a couple 3 deep breaths on the pitch. I don't know what, take some breaths. Is it 4 in, 8 hold, and then 4 breathe out? Just breathe.
Yes.
I think it definitely pegs the question, is this a liability for the U.S. men's national team going forward?
All right, Knicks once again, and I don't care anyone saying this isn't on Greg as well, is sorely mistaken. He built a culture where his players, Gio, Serginho, etc., act like this. Knicks has never been a fan of Berhalter, and definitely not a fan of Berhalter going through a second cycle. We'll get into more than that at 10:30, but Knicks, once again, Berhalter out.
I am not the biggest fan of Berhalter either. I was really shocked when I found out he was getting a second chance, just because I was like, I would have thought they would have moved forward and find someone else to kind of take the control and kind of figure out what works. But I mean, you know what? At some point, we as fans, we don't know what goes on in the team culture. We don't know what goes on there. We'll never know. But I mean, the players respect them. And I feel like at some point, you have to take the player's word for it. But I do agree to some point. I mean, I feel like some of these things that are happening, they need to be an in-house control thing. There needs to be a serious sit down with Serginho to talk about what happened, how they can stop it, and what will happen going forward if it happens again. I think this is a mistake. I feel like, the red card that happened against Mexico, that's what a lot of people are bringing up as well.
Because who was the last person to have an assist and a red card in a match?
I believe it was Dest.
Dest against Mexico last year in Nations League.
So it's becoming a pattern, and you need to kind of put that to rest before it becomes, 3 strikes you're out, pulling in from a different sport. But, there needs to be some sort of culture. And I think if this continues, then I think there needs to be more conversations about Berhalter.
All right. So let's see what else everybody is saying this morning. And Michael, the reason that I brought in the highlights from our friends at Telemundo Sports is because A, it gives me an excuse to listen to Andres Cantor, and B, the American partner, when they released their highlights, released it in 2 channels of audio, but it was off step, and it sounded like it was inside of a tin can. So we went with the cleaner audio, and we went with the legend Andres Cantor. That was why we went with our highlights from Telemundo Sports. Tafka, remarkably unpopular opinion. Dest's behavior is partially a Greg problem. Authority and respect at the top is lacking. You think this happens under a coach like Tata? Well, I mean, Tata had he had a team that was listening. It's just it was too old to try to do anything with El Tree. So Tafka's all fired up. Ricky, I mean, Greg's not blameless, but the players got to feel some of that too.
Absolutely. I mean, we see it from all the other players. I mean, they're coming out and talking about it. They're not letting it slide. That's for sure. And I don't think they should.
No.
I think that they need to hold their player accountable. They need to sit down and be like, what were you thinking? Bruh. Literally, bruh. Like, that's what I thought when I watched it. I was like, are you kidding? I mean, I think a lot of people, I don't know. I agree with Reem. I think there's no explanation, really. There's things that can't be said publicly or what privately was talked about either. But I mean, I would bet that, Reem and Turner were one of the 2 people that were going in on Des in that locker room, and they should.
So you're saying that Reem did, or at least you hope he did?
From what he's saying, I'm pretty sure he did.
Knicks. Greg has built a team where everyone is buddies with each other. No real competition for spots. Lack of composure over and over.
Ooh.
Yeah, like I said, Nick's has never been a fan of Berhalter, and he's more than happy to sit there and unload. Tafka, sure, it's more than just Greg, but Greg is part of the problem. Even simply, a problem. Don't do 2 cycle hires. Correct. That's what a lot of us have maintained here on the network. 2 cycle hires, it gets the big family feud X in the middle of the screen. I'm not in favor of a permanent ban of Dest, but that should be it for his Nations League campaign.
I agree. I think if he gets the chance to come into the final, I don't think he should. I think he should sit this one out and, come back later.
All right. So Nick says, I just hate the whole idea that Dest is too good to send him on his way. That's not how this should work. He's clearly a liability, even when he doesn't get sent off.
Yeah. It's a weird balance because, you have a player who is a hothead. And, I feel like we've seen this in other leagues as well. In other leagues, I was trying to think of an MLS player, but nothing's coming to me right now. But it's one of those things where it's like, there's a balance of like, there's this really good player who's doing a lot, who's getting assists, getting players into the box to score goals. But then you also have the other aspect of like, okay, he's getting goals, he's getting assists, but then, he's, possibly a detriment and, he's making these decisions and, not thinking clearly and is, getting cards. And I'm torn on it because in the moment I was very upset and I was like, he's done. I was like, over, done, over. And now thinking about it, like it's a really weird, it's like I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I mean, it could go either way. I don't really know where I stand right now. I'm like, I lean back and forth. I think he's a great player. I think if he gets his emotions under control, I think then we'll see that improvement. But I think if this happens again, I think then it's done.
Also, to your point, Nix, once again, Greg got every sub wrong last night.
Yep, I agree. That I agree with.
Let's see. Tom Russo, the Airborne DJ. I'm sure I'm not alone in that I was literally yelling at the TV saying, "What are you doing? Shut up, you idiot."
There's no words because I was sitting there and I was like, why are you still talking? I was like, leave. I was like, go. I was like, go to the locker room. I was like, you already got the red. Stop. Oh my gosh. It was so infuriating. I was like, stop talking. Oh my gosh. I was like, now I know like how my mom feels whenever I'm talking too much. And she's like, Maddy, please stop talking.
I see. I don't know how things are in the Cruz household. I'll take your word when it comes to you and your mom. Tafka, there was, and it didn't. But the reaction was moronic. Completely agree with Tim Ream here. Seriously, sports psychologist needed for that kid. Nix, not a Ronaldo fan by any means, but he was talking the other day about road CONCACAF matches. The most important thing not to lose is not to lose your composure, if I could read English goodly. And this isn't even the opponent pushing someone to 2 yellows or a red. He was a freaking baby. He was a freaking baby. Not a faking baby, but a freaking baby.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, and that's the biggest thing. This was a road. This wasn't just like, a CONCACAF match, back in the US. This was a CONCACAF match on the road to really show how the US can play on the road in these types of games. And they didn't do well. And, it shows, okay, there's some work that needs to be done. We can play well on our own soil, but what happens when we go somewhere else and we play another team there? It's like, is this going to be the same thing that happens? Are we going to lose our composure? Are we going to, get 2 yellows and then a red card and get sent off? Like it begs into question how we're going to handle things moving forward.
Nix, what are we, the University of Alabama now? Well, our really good players can do whatever the blank they want. Actually, Nix, when it comes, and this is the OSG sports side of things, this is the review in the college football channel. At Alabama, you never hear about anything that might be untoward. It is locked down because if there's anything that ever happens, we don't hear about it outside Tuscaloosa. Nope. Outside of that campus at UAT, we hear nothing about it. It would be Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
It would be, what we hear. I mean, look at, I think our friends at Every Day Should Be Saturday with the Fulmer Cup, and traditionally, and other talk show hosts have mentioned this as well, is that there is an inverse proportion from the talent of your team and the amount of trouble they get in. So the more talented your team, the more trouble they get in, but they're still very successful. So I see where Nick's was going here with this. But specifically in Tuscaloosa, you hear nothing. Nick Saban locks it all down.
Oh yeah.
You hear nothing about players going sideways. You hear coaches, but not players. Nick's, nope, go away, never come back. Ricky, he should take a sabbatical, but never to play again is a little extreme. And
I agree.
And to Ricky's point, he mentions Ricky had a timeline. Here we go. Should only be in friendly camps between now and 26. He's got to have the chance to show he can be trusted if he has any ideas of playing in 2026.
I agree. I think, especially with the team, I feel like, in the public eye, it can go either way. You can gain, but I feel like one thing that matters is how your team is going to react to you. It's like, when you're the one that's seeing them in practice every day, you can go on Twitter, you can silence notifications, you can delete your Instagram, you can delete all of that stuff, but you get to see your teammates every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it only depends on what they see there. Now, again, we can talk about the whole Gio Reyna situation too, and how that kind of played out. Now he's playing well, there's that good chemistry there. I mean, it's a weird line, and I think it's going to take a lot for them to trust him again. But I think with the ability and the players that we do have on the team, I think it's possible. But I mean, I would agree. I think he definitely needs to take some time away before he can even think about coming back into play for the World Cup.
You're in timeout, sir.
Timeout. Sit in the corner.
Sit in the corner. The permanent banning issue from Tafka. Lifetime suspicion for a suspension. See, this is when people type quickly in the Twitch pitch, and I'm trying to sort through it and retranslate. A lifetime suspension for a nonviolent stupid moment on the field seems so heavy-handed. I mean, really, if that were the case, Dempsey'd get the same for his notebook mishap. True.
Yeah.
True.
I feel like there's players that I think it goes to say this is a game that's full of adrenaline. You're running, you're doing a lot of things. A lot of silly mistakes happen all the time. Now, I'm not trying to defend Dest in any way. What he did was, other words, stupid. He should not have done it. But I think in comparison to other U.S. men's national team legends and what they've done as well, I feel like there's some hothead moments, and I think that's going to happen. But I think it's the accountability and how to move forward from it is really going to be the test if he's going to learn from that mistake.
Yep, Tafka. Everybody's discussing banning and having him go sit in the corner. It should factor into how often he starts and is relied upon, but banning the player permanently for what's likely another 12 or 15 years. He thinks it's silliness. Yeah, mm-hmm. Ricky's like, you got to commit a serious crime, most likely involving balance, to get a permanent ban or something like that. But Tom Russo, hey, but if this makes the Fed rethink the hire and 3GB goes, then he's good with it, LOL. Then Ricky, can we retroactively ban Jermaine Jones then? So I see where everybody's going this morning with this. Yeah, and then ropes, Miazga. That's all you Matt Miazga. Michael Head, he was loaned out from Barcelona to AC Milan, where he's played 8 matches, and it was a loan option to buy for 20 million euro back in September. And now he has been loaned out to PSV. So there's your Serginho Dest update. Tafka, here's how I'd handle it. No further call-ups for Nations League. Can be call-up for friendly. Set up some expectations. If he mouths off to a ref or commits a mental hothead card, I feel like I should hang on to Tafka's paragraph, like right here. Like the old thing where you're hanging over the edges.
Or like.
Yeah, exactly. Mental hothead card, even just a yellow suspension reinstated for all of 25, and that rule would be in place for all of 25. No mental behavior errors for a calendar year. So that is what Tafka thinks. Obviously, keep loading us up in the Twitch pitch, whatever's on your mind. Maddy, you are coming back at 10:30 to assist with the inquisition of Bart Keeler, correct?
I am.
And
I am.
We will discuss things with Bart. We'll see how angry he is, at 10:30. And we'll discuss the men's match, the women's roster, the IFAB discussion that apparently is going on today, the Wenger rule and offsides, and maybe a little reffing down here. So what is the drink of choice?
Oh, so it is a grande iced white mocha latte with a pump of cinnamon dolce.
That's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot, but it's really good.
Okay. So continue consuming, and we will catch up with you in a little less than an hour.
Awesome. I'll be back.
All right. Maddy Cruz hanging out with us. And Maddy's getting reps, and she's yelling. She's vented her spleen appropriately, and so now she'll be back at 10:30 to assist with Bart when we have reffing down here a little early and day early, and we'll discuss with Bart what he thinks, and we'll find out about the eggnog martinis and see if he partook in those yesterday, as folks were looking at what we saw with the men's national team. Michael, Michael, I feel like the what is it, the comedy tour should be sitting on a stage. You've got Bill Engvall and Ron White and Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Foxworthy. They're all sitting there. They're all sitting on stage. Some kind of stupid to have so much talent and be so dumb on the pitch. Here's your sign. I mean, legitimately. After that last night, Tim Marine basically saying, yeah, there were some things that we could say behind the scenes, but not here. And apparently, Dest did apologize at the half for his outburst, but it's understanding the consequences of your actions going in. And that, once again, the biggest thing, you go into that kind of an environment, folks know that they can poke you in the sternum and send you over the edge. Or if they know that, if you can kind of get jostled and just kind of knocked off your pins a little bit, and things aren't going your way when it comes to perceived infractions that you believe should be called. The ref's not calling things your way. You're getting bumped around. Folks are being physical. You know that you can get knocked off your game. Folks are going to do it. Tape's out. It's like once a year this seems to happen with Serginho Dest. Assist, red card. He's this close to the Gordie Howe hat trick. Actually, it would have to be a fight on a goal. So it would have to be a quad he did the home run in soccer. But yeah, so that's where we are. Bart Keeler coming in at 10:30 to discuss. Obviously, we've got news to talk about. Yes, Abby, indeed. Morning, Abby sending her regards, missing us all. Yes, what Dest did was stupid. Absolutely it was. Absolutely stupid. Stupid to the nth degree. Stupid to infinity. To the Googleplex. It was incredibly stupid. But yeah, just keep your comments coming on the Twitch pitch this morning. It's going to be a big morning. We got news of the morning. We've got stuff. The U17s, bit of a shocking loss very, very early this morning. They lose 3-2 on a late goal after coming down 1-0 and 2-1 in the round of 16. Goal by Taha Habrun in the 24th minute. Rebound in the penalty area. David Vasquez, a free kick in the 80th. But Balil Yalcinkaya came off the bench in the 86th, scored the winner a minute after what was shot to a sharp angle. And this is Paul Kennedy's report from Soccer America, playing Spain in the quarterfinals. We'll discuss this with Bart as well. 19 U17 World Cups, 18 appearances in the U17 World Cup, 10 appearances in the knockouts, 2 U.S. wins in the knockout stage. So they exit the U17 World Cup, dropping a 3-2 decision to the European champs. Despite missing 3 players due to suspension, U.S. played their strongest match of the tourney, basically 2-1 in possession. Best stretches came when it controlled tempo of play, combination play, undone by poor mid-range and long passing that played into Germany's counterattacking strategy. The U23 friendly, by the way, is going on right now, should be at the half. No CONCACAF teams left in the tournament. Mexico lost to Mali 5-0 back on Tuesday. Your lineup was Bodri Verhoeven, Hawkins, Soma Harangi, Matthew Corcoran, Taha Habrun, Medina, Berkemas for Crown Legacy, 15 years old. Miller and Figueroa. Subs were Reed Brown, Morales, Jameson, Vasquez, and Burton. And so the U.S. is out in the round of 16 on a late goal to Germany, losing that one by the score of 3-2. Panama put the pedal down, by the way. They swept past Costa Rica, no problems there. And so that's your international update. Like I said, we'll catch up with Bart at 10:30. We'll discuss men's, women's roster, U17, reffing down here. Maddy comes back, and we'll discuss all of that stuff there. Ricky, spot on the Copa roster is firmly in question. Once again, keep all this stuff coming. We'll add to this and have this as a part of the discussion. If I miss something, bring it back up at 10:30, and we'll discuss with Bart when he drops by. Tom, lost my cool in a high school match once and pushed a kid. It's the only red card I ever got. My dad happened to be at that game. Only red I ever got. Learned how to channel frustration from that point on. Ricky, how funny will it be if Mexico has to go the loser's path to Copa and doesn't make the Nations League semifinals? That would be crazy, because tonight, and this is the one that we have to pay attention to, like I said, Morocco and the U.S. in the international friendly, that's going on right now. Doubleheader tonight. Canada hosting Jamaica at BMO in Toronto in Nations League. Mexico hosting Honduras at the Azteca. Makes you wonder, and once again, 9:30 kick. Makes you wonder what Honduras's philosophy is going to be. They're going to come in, just kind of sit there and believe that the ball has cooties, kick it long, and have Mexico do all the work. Got to come back from 2. So we'll see what happens with Mexico. U.S. advancing to the games in Dallas in the semifinals in March. Unfortunately, it will not be with Serginho Dest in the semifinal because he had a fit of, I don't know what you'd call it, but, it was just a fit. I mean, and literally as we go through this, yes, he was upset about something that happened up the wing in the attacking half. Yes, he was upset about thinking that he saved the ball going over the touchline and the AR saying that he didn't. But punting the ball and then blowing kisses. Yeah. I mean, descent, and a triple. That's what you're staring at. So descent and a triple when it comes to Joker's Wild and our friend Serginho Dest. Brooks Lennon rubbing his hands together, according to Jason Nix. Watching Dest last night, here's hoping he gets a shot he can put in the same cross as defend better. Sure, he's not dribbling anyone, but Ricky, they got to CONCACAF it up, meaning what we're seeing tonight, the late game. Nix, Scally's not that much better than Brooks, marginally maybe. Ricky agreeing, should have got a look before this, but yes, Brooks should get called in, and everybody's like, I don't get it. Nix thinks it's an anti-MLS bias for sure. But, so we'll keep an eye on all of that stuff. Once again, Bart Keeler coming up about 45 minutes. Yesterday it was a huge day for, once again, the city of Atlanta. By the way, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And since it's a Tuesday, we'll go ahead and do this. And I got to loop it because it might take a while. All right. So I'm going to do this. This is what happens when you don't have an afternoon drive show. U.S. Copa America 2024. Get in line. Get your notifications now. Starts in Atlanta. The opening match, June 20th, Mercedes-Benz. It's going to wrap up at Hard Rock on July 14th. We'll find out what the groups are on the 7th of December in Miami. CopaAmerica.com. You can sign up for all of the news and information that you need. Promotional paragraph from our friends at Copa America about Mercedes-Benz. Slightly larger promotional paragraph talking about our friends at Hard Rock for the conclusion. Alejandro Dominguez, paragraph, couple of sentences, he's happy. Victor Montaliani, couple of sentences and a paragraph, he's happy. Dan Corso, hosting the opening match of this prestigious tournament is an incredible achievement for everyone involved. Our region's soccer profile has once again been raised to the highest level with this announcement. Paragraph from Tom Garfinkel, Vice Chair of the Board, President, CEO of Miami Dolphins and Hard Rock. Once again, you can keep up to date with everything in Copa America, signing up for all of their email blasts. 10 CONMEBOL teams, 6 guest teams from CONCACAF, organized by both feds. CONCACAF teams qualify through the Nations League following the conclusion of the group stage. Group champions and runners-up of League A advanced to the quarterfinals, where they were paired with the top 4 finishers of the CONCACAF nations: Mexico, Honduras, Trinidad and Tobago, Canada, Jamaica, Costa Rica, Panama. Quarterfinals in. We know this. So the other 2 CONCACAF participants confirmed after a play-in between the losers of the quarters. The play-in will take place in March. The continent vibrates. So, vibra el continente. Because of this, and the United States being, coming everybody here to this particular part of the country, I'm going to show you something. All right, so I know this will work for the TV side of things, but I don't know how well it's going to work for the audio side of things, so I'm going to have to describe it. Maxing out my headset length as far as I can. You might remember one of our previous scarves that we had, or scarves. The Soccer Down Here scarf. Atlanta is American soccer. The quote from Vic Crow back in 1968. You remember this scarf? As I continue to flip it over. Yesterday, today, always. All right. So this scarf is being reissued. I'm making the announcement now. If you don't have it, we're reissuing it. Reach out to us. DM us. You can text me. We're reissuing it. 25 and 5 shipping. We're reissuing the Atlanta is soccer scarf. The Soccer City scarf with the Vic Crow quote is being reissued for the holidays. So I'm taking pre-orders. Once again, 25 and 5. Think about the holidays. Hopefully, I don't know. They're maybe the new year. I'm hoping it gets here in time for Christmas. But it's being reissued. So you missed out the first time. You can get it the second time. The Atlanta is American soccer scarf being reissued here at SDH. So that's your public service announcement for the morning. And we are also efforting another one. Yes, Abby, we are. We are doing it as a fundraiser. We are trying to help out our friends from the Marshall Islands. We are also we're doing some stuff with them, so it might be a 2-step process. Hopefully we can do some things after the first of the year. But, yes, it is being done as a fundraiser for our friends at the Marshall Islands to hopefully further their program. So there you go. Abby, thank you. You can do deliveries again to save shipping in the metro Atlanta area. So, pre-orders, if you think about it, I'll remind you pretty much after Thanksgiving. But being reissued and heading back out the door to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands because we have taken their cause. And we're also doing some other things, hopefully, that we can announce fairly soon when it comes to other stuff with our friends from the Marshall Islands. So there you go. Reissued soccer scarf. That's the other news of hour number 1. So let's see. I guess I should turn the music down considering that the news is broken. News is broken. Scarf's being reissued. There you go. All right. Yes, the Copa America, CONMEBOL is the head dude. The South American Federation is they are working in concert with CONCACAF for this one, but CONMEBOL is the ruling body for the Copa America tournament. So it's the 10 South American nations and 6 coming from CONCACAF. Starts in Atlanta, June 20th, ends in Miami, July 14th. Groups will be announced December 7th in Miami. There will be pomp and circumstance, and it's probably going to be shown live on 2 to NA, that kind of a thing. So, yes, thank you, Abby. Yes, it's still a CONMEBOL event. They ran the Copa America Centenario. just getting to the point that they will control tickets. So again, season ticket holders probably won't get any dispensation. SDHers might not get special dispensation either, but we'll see. So yeah, that's your Copa America update. Very, very cool that's coming to town. What do you want to bet Argentina? Something like Argentina and the United States. What do you want to bet? Argentina and the United States. That wouldn't suck. Also, let's see. So we've got to go through what happened in the Euro yesterday. There was a moment after what we talked about yesterday involving Alexander Sefrin yesterday. We had a moment in the Euros. So we'll go through what happened in the Euros yesterday. NWSL is starting their roster changes. And so we'll get into that. And the colleges are also getting into their new rounds as well, heading into the holiday weekend. Close loss for Columbus State in Division II. North Georgia got knocked out in the second round, I believe. And the University of Georgia had to go to extra time before losing to Clemson in Division I. So we'll go through all of that if we have time coming up in the time in between. And then what we will do is get you squared away once again before 10:30. Another team is being released in the Super League. It is in Fort Lauderdale. So if you missed the Christina Uncle interview that we did last week about her franchise in Tampa Bay, Fort Lauderdale now being added also into the USLS for 25. So very, very cool stuff that is there involving that. Now, there was something that I saw, and I was like, really? Seriously? Yes. When is the Premier League turning into the NCAA? Seems like it's getting there sooner and sooner and sooner. So get this. This is from our friends at TalkSport. Spurs are facing serious allegations of breaching transfer rules during Jermaine Defoe's move to Portsmouth. In 2008, The Times claims new evidence that shows Spurs dealt with an unlicensed agent while agreeing to sell Jermaine Defoe to Portsmouth for £7.5 million back in January 2008. No action was taken by the FA at the time, but it's understood the governing body are prepared to review the allegations. 2008. 15 years ago. 15 years ago. No action taken. Understood the governing body prepared to review the allegations. Breaches of FA agent rules have previously resulted in points deductions, transfer bans, and suspensions for club officials. Quote, the case was heard by an independent arbitration panel 15 years ago, spokeswoman for the FA said. Continuing quotation, the FA was not a party to the arbitration. It's unclear how much information was shared with the FA at the time, and no disciplinary action was taken. If there is new evidence, which was not available at the time and which suggests serious breaches of our rules took place, we will review it. Allegations over Defoe's move to Fratton Park first raised by agent Sky Andrew after he was dropped by the former striker who claimed to represent him in the deal. The Times claims in their article, at the arbitration hearing over the Defoe transfer, the panel found that Mitchell Thomas, the former West Ham United and Tottenham player, and an unlicensed agent was the central figure in the deal. Thomas was named by the FA in 2008 on a list of agents who'd been operating in football without a license. It was also heard that Levy enlisted the services of Stuart Peters, an agent who was licensed to act for Tottenham, but that a representation contract required under FA rules did not appear to be in place. Levy agreed to pay Peters around $1 million for his role in the £7.5 million transfer. At the time, Defoe had a representation contract with Sky Andrew, led to an arbitration because Sky was of the view that Defoe was in breach of his contract because a footballer cannot use his agent if he basically does a negotiation himself. Basically helped broker the deal, involved in dealing with Spurs, with Daniel Levy, Ari Redknapp. Rules are in place to protect. Matt Lawton has big quotes. And, wow. Defoe's former agent, Andrew, questions the lack of action from football's governing bodies. Of course you do. So the Times went full-blown investigation. And Now you're staring at a possible new investigation from the FA. Congratulations. 15 years. 15 blanking years. Kidding me. Everybody's turning into the damn NCAA all of a sudden. Yesterday in the Euros, we mentioned that moment with where Alexander Sefrin said that basically the world would be better if Italy was a part of large tournaments. And I think that Italy will beat Ukraine, basically was what he said yesterday. You had a moment. It was a scoreless draw, 90+3. Mykhailo Mudryk is taken down inside the penalty area, no call. Could have gone either way. I think that Mudryk was trying to accentuate the contact more than anything else. I mean, you could have made the call as you look at it. If it had gone to VAR, you probably would have been looking for something and made the call. But Mudryk goes down, no call is made, and no penalty is taken. Goalless draw, Italy advances. Obviously, Ukraine is pissed, now on more than one level, because now you can add the black helicopters to the Mitch. But yesterday, Albania and our buddies from the Faroe Islands goalless. Czech Republic 3-0 on Moldova. North Macedonia and England tied at 1. Everybody apparently made it out healthy. Northern Ireland beat Denmark 2-0 at a plus 426. San Marino scored. San Marino blanking scored. And apparently they've scored 3 goals in their last 3 matches, which accounts for more than 10% of the goals that they've scored in the last decade or two. So San Marino is turning into an offensive juggernaut in the Euros. Good on them for scoring. They were a plus 29-27 underdog in the composite, obviously. But it was late. They were down 2-0, got a late goal, make it 2-1 as they were chasing the match. Slovenia beat Kazakhstan at a minus 222, and Ukraine and Italy, we talked about that one, at a plus 276. Goalless draw. So that means with E, F, G, and H done, I think it was E, F, G, and H, wasn't it? Or I and J, or whoever the heck it was. All right, so Group C, you're looking at Spain, Scotland. We know that one. France, Netherlands, that one's clear. We know that one with one more match to go. France is in. Netherlands and Greece, that one's going to be the one that folks are going to be paying attention to today. We'll get into the juice boxes in a bit. Netherlands is playing Gibraltar. Gibraltar hasn't scored a goal. They're averaging giving up 5 a match. Group C, England and Italy are through. Italy on goal difference. Ukraine at 14 points was 4 goals behind them. So Italy and England in Group C go through. Turkey, Croatia, Wales, that's the madness in Group D. You could have, it's 3 teams for 2 spots, 2 automatic qualification spots. Group E, it is Albania and the Czech Republic. Everybody's through there. It is F, everybody's through. Yes, they had already locked up the top spot. Yep, England only managed the 1-1 draw with North Macedonia, and they scored the equalizer late on an own goal. So England through, Italy through on a goalless draw that could have been a loss, which could have knocked them out of automatic qualification. Then you've got Group G was squared away. Group H was squared away. San Marino, 3 goals in 10 matches. Good on you. You gave up 31, I know, but you scored 3. 3 goals in group play. Congratulations, San Marino. We have place in our hearts for the Liechtensteins, the Andorras, the San Mariners, the Estonians, the Faroe Islanders, the Latvians, and the Maltese. We have a place in our heart for those folks. But since we're on it, why not? We'll go ahead. More matches today. Andorra, big underdog at home hosting Israel. Croatia, big favorite at home hosting Armenia. Gibraltar is a plus 10,245 at home to win against the Netherlands. Greece, underdog at home. France is a minus 159. Kosovo, favored at home against Belarus at a minus 141. Romania, home dog. Switzerland's a plus 106. Wales hosting Turkey. Wales is a home favorite at a plus 154. And since we're there, we'll go through all the soccer on the tube. Yes, I am saying there's a chance, Nix. The Germany-USA match, once again, 3:30 this morning. All the U17 stuff's already done. Brazil-Argentina's on Telemundo tonight. The Rumbo al Mundial, their coverage, 7:30. Brazil-Argentina, go watch it. TUDN Unimas, simulcasting Mexico and Honduras tonight. Once again, Mexico has to come back from a 2-goal deficit. Universo simulcasting Brazil and Argentina as well. So you have Telemundo and Universo on Brazil and Argentina. Fanatis, it's pay-per-view. It is not the normal service that you would get if you subscribe to Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here, where you could get CDO, Nuestra Tele, TIC, For the Fans, all the BNs, and activity down south in the Sudamericana and the Libertadores play. This is pay-per-view in addition to Paraguay, Colombia, Ecuador, Chile, Uruguay, Bolivia, Peru, Venezuela. We'll go over the numbers in a bit. FIFA Plus is going berserk today with the AFCON. They had 6 matches at 8 o'clock this morning. They'll have 6 more at 11 o'clock this morning as we're getting off the air. And then 3 at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So AFCON is blowing up today at FIFA Plus. I'm sure that there's probably some of it's going to be available on Fanatis and the BNs as well. Fox Soccer Plus, Croatia, Armenia is on at 2:45. Fubo 2 has both Greece, France, Andorra, and Israel. Paramount Plus, CONCACAF Nations League play starts at 2 o'clock and goes all the way till 9. They've also got Canada and Jamaica at 7:30 on Paramount Plus. Pay-per-view is Ecuador and Chile. Telemundo app had all of your round of 16 stuff from the U17s this morning. The USA-Morocco friendly is going on right now at ussoccer.com. VIX has 7 of the Euro 2024 matches going on in Brazil-Argentina tonight. So tomorrow morning, as you are working your way through, we'll get into that in a sec, Ricky. Thank you for the heads up. Early morning stuff before we come back on a wall past Wednesday. England, Uzbekistan, round of 16s at 3:30 on FS1. France and Senegal's at 7 on FS2. Telemundo has England, Uzbekistan, and France and Senegal on the app. Everything else will be later on in the day. So that's what to watch as you are rolling your way through what's going on. So news out of Major League Soccer. So that means we got to do this. That was loud. Major League Soccer announced that Pat Noonan is the Siggy Schmidt MLS Coach of the Year, becoming the first in club history to capture the award. Considering the previous iterations of FC Cincinnati. Yeah, that should be the case. I wouldn't think you would give the Wooden Spoon winners the Coach of the Year award, but okay. Pat Noonan earns his first career Coach of the Year honors after leading FC Cincinnati to the Supporters Shield. You get the Captain America Shield. You get the award. Quoting Major League Soccer, at least paraphrasing it, Cincinnati tied for the 4th most points in a single MLS season. The most since the Revs set the MLS record was 73 in 2021. Club also became just the 9th team in league history to win at least 20 games in a single season, excluding the shootout era, including a league-high 13 home matches in 2023. Cincinnati won their first 10 matches at home to start the season, concluded 13-2-2 at TQL, 41 points at home, tied for the 4th most points in a season at home. 13 home wins were tied for the 2nd most in league history. And once again from the league, FC Cincinnati also excelled during close games in 2023. 14 wins in 1-goal games, 3rd highest total in a single season in MLS history. Most All-Stars in club history with 3 reps, Lucho Acosta, Alvaro Barreal, and Matt Miazga. I'm sure Matt Miazga decided to yell about it. But yeah, I love the headline. I love the headline here. Noonan earns first career Coach of the Year honors after leading FC Cincinnati to the 2023 MLS Supporters Shield title. becoming the first in club history to capture the award. Well, duh. I don't think Jaap Stam was going to be doing it. Yes, Abby, please feel better. Been sick since Nix has been sick since Friday. Abby's getting sick heading into the holidays. Hubby loves carrot cake. It's on his birthday, and his birthday's on Turkey Day. Wow. Okay, making turkey dinner will be a big accomplishment. But yeah, I know. Tom, maybe someday we'll have a Coach of the Year candidate. Just because you don't win an award doesn't mean that there isn't quality. You don't have to win awards all the time to sit there and look at success. I'm not specifically talking about Atlanta United, Tom. I'm just talking in general. Ben Olsen, honestly, Ben Olsen should have been getting consideration here. I know that, look, those of us here would sit here and say probably in order that it would be Olsen, Carnell, Noonan, something in that. We would be giving Ben Olsen far more credit than apparently he was getting from all of the votes and the voting. So here's your vote rundown, by the way. And Wilfred Nancy should be a part of the discussion too. Now, this is what's really going to piss me off, because I'm going to read these results, and this is just stupid. I know at some point we probably should have Glenn Davis on. So Pat Noonan gets 41% of the player vote. He was number one. Second, a close second in the media vote to Bradley Carnell. 56% of the club vote to average 45% of the vote going to Pat Noonan. Bradley Carnell, second in the player voting at just under 24%. First in the media voting at just under 40%. Second in the club voting, distant second. Once again, Noonan got more than half of that. He got a majority of the club vote. Bradley Carnell, second at 19.5%, so he finishes at 27.78%. Wilfred Nancy was third. 16.77%, so distant third in the player voting. Horrifically distant third in the media voting at 8.67%. And 10 percentage points behind Bradley Carnell to finish third at 9.76%, aggregate 11.73%. How in the ever-loving blue hell do you have a team in the Western Conference semifinal? Western Conference semifinal. That means that there's 4 teams left. 4 teams left in the Western Conference. Considering everything that happened in Houston last year, all the turnover, new ownership, coaching change, player change, trying to bring folks in, trying to make sure that Ache doesn't leave. Next time we have Nico Moreno, obviously we'll talk about this. But there are 4 teams left in the Western Conference. Peter Vermes, Kansas City. Steve Cherundolo in LAFC. Brian Schmetzer in Seattle. Ben Olsen in Houston. Kansas City, as a play-in team, knocked out St. Louis in the opening round of their tournament. First appearance in round of 8, St. Louis disappears. Bradley Carnell finishes second in the voting. Ben Olsen does not finish top 3, and his team won Leagues Cup. And you're in the Final Four in the Western Conference. You tell me how in the hell Ben Olsen doesn't even finish in the top 3. I would also maintain that you probably need to have the voting later. I don't know when the deadline was. Ben Olsen has a title this year. He has a trophy. Bradley Carnell got bumped out You won the Western Conference. Whoop-de-blank. You won the Western Conference. The league is set up so expansion teams can succeed out of the blocks with all the extra am and stuff. Bradley Carnell, St. Louis City, all Caps finished first in the Western Conference. They get to the postseason, they get bumped out. Bradley Carnell finishes second. I would posit that a lot of it has to do with the resources that were put in front of him by Major League Soccer. I would posit this. Or was it Open Cup? One of the two. One of those two. Well, which one? Yeah, so Open Cup. There it was. Open Cup. So Open Cup, Houston won. So Miami wins Leagues Cup. Yeah, Miami won the Leagues Cup. Houston won the Open Cup. I get them confused. So Houston beats Messi and friends in the Open Cup final, September. So Ben Olsen takes Houston, has turned them into Benny Ball, and he's not even in the top four. He's in the semifinals in the Western Conference, and he's not even in the top four. Like I said, I would posit to the class, I would posit to you today that because of the resources made available to expansion clubs, that's why all Caps were as successful as they were. Bradley Carnell is second. But Ben Olsen doing what he did for not even being in the top three. Noonan number one, Wilfred Nancy number three. Wilfred Nancy did a fantastic job. I would have Ben Olsen ahead of Wilfred Nancy. Ricky, I agree with you. Ben Olsen should be top three. How he was not top three, I have no idea. Well, obviously I do. I'm staring at it. But for Ben Olsen not to be top three, to be a part of the Coach of the Year discussion, as we've had here, it's unfathomable to me. So, yeah, Pat Noonan, good on you. You turn things around in Cincy. How Ben Olsen is not a part of the top three discussion is beyond me. So I think that Major League Soccer once again got it wrong. Major League Soccer got it wrong. So Player Media Club, you got it wrong. Ben Olsen should have been top three. See what happens when we do this kind of stuff? It goes sideways. We go and continue to rant. Continue ranting. I'm trying to see what else is going on the planet. Oh, DC's hired Ali Mackay as General Manager, Chief Soccer Officer. That happened. We haven't had the chance really to talk about that. Nick Lima looks like he's going to be changing locations. So we'll keep an eye on what Nick Lima's up to. Tommy Scoops had that one as broken news yesterday. So we'll keep an eye on that. NWSL is having their roster movement. So you're going to be seeing folks picked up by Bay, folks being picked up by Utah Royals, etc. Colleges. I know that I wanted to get into that. With the activity with men's soccer, it was Clayton State knocked off Lenore Ryan over the weekend, loses to Limestone. Limestone gets to play Barry next, Florida Tech and West Florida in the bottom part of the bracket. Charleston College in West Virginia plays Gannon. Charleston beat Queens by the final of 7-0. Franklin Pierce plays Post. So Limestone and Barry. So three Florida teams. So Barry, Florida Tech, and West Florida. Three of the final four in the right-hand side of the bracket. On the men's side in D2. In D1, you're looking at Marshall and Stanford as a 1 versus a 16. You're looking at Clemson and New Hampshire as an 8-9. Oregon State has made it through as an unranked team, beating Seattle and then knocking off number 11 Portland. They're going to play number 6 SMU, who beat Denver. North Carolina and Hofstra in a 3-14. That's your final 8 on the men's side in Division 1. It is Washington College and Amherst. They're going to play for the D3 championship on the men's side of things. On the women's side of things, we were keeping an eye on all of that. We mentioned what happened with Clemson and Georgia, and the bracket there was Georgia had a 1-0 lead until the bitter end of the 90 minutes. And then it ends up with Clemson equalizing and then scoring in overtime. Florida State beats Texas 5-0. They're going to play number 7 Pittsburgh on looks like it's Thanksgiving. Wow, the 24th. So 1 versus 7, and then BYU and North Carolina on the right-hand side of the bracket for that movement on the women's side in Division I. Like I said, we were looking at Georgia and we were looking at Clemson, keeping an eye on the third round there. So that's what third round looks like. Florida State and Pittsburgh, BYU and North Carolina. And then getting into the semifinals after that. No, I don't want a 20% off coupon. In D2, Nova Southeastern and Florida Tech, Lenore Rhine and Catawba. So it's another thing for Bart to be discussing. Lenore Rhine making it their way through. Columbus State had a lead, tied it in overtime, lose it in PKs. Lenore Rhine will play Catawba. Columbus State beat Flagler in the first round. Maddy caught up with the folks from Columbus State as they were heading into the Flagler match for Soccer's in Session. Columbus State advances. They draw Lenore Rhine, go to PKs, lose out. So Lenore Rhine, Catawba in the 1-2, Nova Southeastern, Florida Tech in the 3-5. Left-hand side of the bracket, Gannon and Westchester, St. Rose and Adelphi. That's your D2. And then in D3, it is Christopher Newport and Cal Lutheran. Cal Lutheran goes through in PKs. They will play Messiah, who knocked off John Carroll by the final of 1-0. So that's your college rundown. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and things left unsaid. It is player movement and news of the day before Bart Keeler joins us in about 10 minutes. Maddy will jump back in, and she will be a part of the Q&A discussion. And apparently, as a public service, the Stones, Friday night, and that's another reason why the championships got pushed back. The Stones are playing Mercedes-Benz on June the 7th. Mercedes-Benz, June the 7th, the Stones. Newcastle considering making a £50 million bid for Shakhtar's Mikhailo Mudryk. England and Borussia Dortmund's Jude Bellingham linked with a move to Liverpool, Real Madrid's top target for the next summer transfer window. Liverpool could move for a swap deal involving Bellingham in January, with Naby Keita wanted by Dortmund. AC Milan technical director Paolo Maldini says that Rafa Leao, who has been linked with a move to Chelsea, knows his future is with the Serie A club, despite complications from a previous transfer affecting negotiations to renew his contract at the San Siro. That's from our friends at Calcio Mercato. Chelsea planning to increase the summer offer they made for Denzel Dumfries to €50 million, but would be willing to loan the 26-year-old back to the Serie A club for 6 months if the deal goes through in January. Former PSV Eindhoven right back Dumfries says reported interest from Chelsea in Man U flatters me, in quotation marks, but is focused on regaining the Serie A title with Inter. Manchester United keeping close tabs on Emi Martinez. Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs looking into the possibility of signing 25-year-old Spain and Villarreal center back Pau Torres. Inter Milan have not made any progress in talks over an extension for Milan Skriniar, whose contract expires next summer. So PSG could make another move for the Slovakia defender in the winter transfer window. Real Madrid plan to bring back Spain winger Brahim Diaz, formerly of Manchester City, from a loan spell at AC Milan to replace Marco Asensio when his contract expires next summer. Asensio has already signed a pre-contract with Barca that will run for 4 years from next summer. Barca and Liverpool interested in swapping forwards, with the Netherlands' former Manchester United attacker Memphis Depay heading to Anfield, and Bobby Firmino replacing him at the Camp Nou. And dude, you are like way behind the times. You didn't look at your notes. Wow, that's so bad. That shows you where my brain is today. Didn't look at the date. Disregard all of that. We're going to start over. Chelsea considering a big money move for Ivan Toney. Chelsea, Manchester City, Man U, Newcastle all sent representatives to watch Kavica Kvaratskhelia during the 3-1 loss to Spain. Arsenal and Arsenal and Manchester United among the clubs expected to show interest in Marcus Leonardo, whose agent says he'll look to leave Santos in January. Benfica have no plans to enter negotiations over 19-year-old Portuguese midfielder João Neves, who's been watched by Manchester United with a player buyout clause of £105 million. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Kylian Mbappe says there will be time to talk about his PSG future as he prepares to enter the final months of his deal. Bayern Munich might consider a move for Man U's Rafa Varane. Liverpool will not entertain offers for Colombia winger Luis Diaz, despite reports in Spain that they may sanction a swap deal with Barca for Rafinha. Bayer Leverkusen manager Xabi Alonso does not have a release clause in his contract, allowing him to join one of his former clubs. The club CEO has said, amid reports that he could move to Liverpool, Real Madrid, or Bayern Munich. Spurs ready to offer Roma £26 million for Italy midfielder Brian Cristante. Manchester United planning to replace football director John Murtaugh as part of significant changes which will accompany Sir Jim Ratcliffe's investment in the club. Manchester Evening News. Spurs unhappy with Everton's claim that their refusal to pay £80 million for Richarlison caused the Toffees to breach the Premier League spending rules. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. West Ham, once again, we talked about Mikel Antonio yesterday. Girona director Kike Carcel says the club would be keen to re-sign Oriol Romeu from Barcelona. It's a lot of stuff. Now, since it is pushing 10:30, we bring in Bart Keeler for reffing down here for what happened last night. Let's see. So I have on my list, and Maddy will come in because she has questions as well. The roster for the women's national team, we've got that. We've got the MNT result, and we've got some reffing down here with the Vinger rule and the IFAB meeting apparently today. So now, after I read old news and transfer information from September of 22, before I got the real transfer information correct, Bart, as Maddy joins us, what in the blue hell happened last night in Trinidad?
You have a team that doesn't feel the need to find urgency in games. And this is something that I don't like to listen to the Twitter chuckleheads, but I fully understand this reasoning that this team embodies the personality of its coach. And its coach is not a fiery person. He's not he certainly hasn't tried to elicit any sort of passion or motivation in this team throughout his tenure. The first time, he hasn't done it the second time. And you have a team right there now that looks like they're just complacent, which is the number one thing we're afraid of when we have a second cycle head coach, which is why I have always been against rehiring Greg Berhalter. We can talk about tactics. We can talk about whatever. It's complacency. That is the number one killer of any team trying to find success. And that's what you see right now. They were happy with the 3-0 win against Trinidad. Well, it sucked for 81 minutes, but hey, we got a 3-0 win. You go down to Trinidad, and I don't know what Serginho Dest decided to do. It certainly wasn't play soccer. But this team is not ready to compete with the biggest and best on the world stage. And that, to me, stems from the coach.
Maddy for Bart Keeler, go.
I mean, just from your point of view, watching that game, I mean, we could talk about Dest all we want. I mean, but other than what happened with Dest, when we went down to 10 men, what were some of the things that you saw that we need to improve upon going ahead if we're going to be going off whoever we're facing off in the semifinals?
Well, problem is, hopefully you're not playing with 10 men, so
sure.
It's a special situation. But Trinidad managed to go a quite long time without conceding with 10 men. And we gave up a goal almost immediately. And again, that comes down to mentality. That comes down to wanting to put in the work to not give up a goal. And it was a weak midfield. It was a soft midfield that allowed a player to find space and find a pass. It was a man who is not as good as Miles Robinson defending and getting beat, not only for pace, but for strength. Don't miss me with the Scotland bull crap, because he got absolutely worked by a guy who doesn't play anywhere close to the Scottish Premier League. Actually, no, that one isn't the one in the Scottish Premier League. those things are disappointing because that is a mentality. I'm sorry, I hate to like not talk about tactics, but so many people get caught up in the weeds of tactics and don't look at the mentality of the team out there going, okay, you have to regroup. And this is a little bit Serginho Dest's fault. He put the wrench into everything, but you have to regroup and understand your goal at 39 minutes is to get through the half. And you didn't do it. It seems a heck of a lot like the other team we watched. That's why I'm wearing this jersey right now, because this was a very Atlanta United road performance. A mentally weak team who doesn't respond well to adversity.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to go Carly Lord on you, but that's what it looked like last night.
I mean, you're right, 100%. I mean, yeah.
Round one. Who's going berserk here?
Not me.
So somebody's getting messages and emails here.
It is me.
Or at the very least, someone is hitting the ding and agreeing with Bart every single point that he.
I thought that's what it was. They were agreeing.
It wasn't out of my board. It was out of Maddy's board.
It was out of mine. I was getting a little text.
So then, Bart. So then, going into this match, Bart, I mean, would you have adjusted the starting 11? How would you have adjusted it? Because obviously,
no, I actually thought the starting 11 was okay given the players that we have available. Right. I think where the adjustments needed to be made and what the wrong adjustments were made was when we got the red card, and instead of taking off one of the two strikers you have, you pulled off Gio Reyna. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that Gio is going to play all 90 in this match, but at some point you also have to say, you have to, sorry, I'm going to blow the explicit warning. Club wishes be damned.
Oh, that's not the explicit warning.
Okay, good. Club wishes be damned. Yeah. Gio's got to put in a shift here. Because without Gio Reyna, without our third midfielder, we fell apart. But you left two strikers out there for God knows what reason. So the starting lineup was good. I actually liked the starting lineup because I'll also say, to defend a little bit Greg Berhalter and the team, we created a couple chances inside their pit. We had 6 shots inside their penalty area in the first half, right? Inside. 2 of which probably could have been goals that the goalkeeper stopped. They had a better goalkeeping on the day. We can talk about Matt Turner in a second. But it wasn't like we were trash. We had a 1-0 lead. It probably should have been 2. And that goes even back, though, to the first match where you could talk tactics and boring and sluggish, whatever. But that wasn't the reality. The reality is we should have scored 2 goals in the first half of the first match. So this team doesn't seem to have the idea that they are playing to win a damn game, John. You play to win the game.
Okay? He's going Dennis Green on us.
And that's something that has kind of been pervasive outside of the Nations League finals, right? We don't really prioritize Gold Cup. We don't really prioritize Nations League until the finals. Okay. So the message to the team from the coach, whose only job, it seems, is to win a trophy at the end of the year, not actually make the team better. The message from the coach is these matches aren't that important. When you take off Gio Reyna, you're saying, oh, these matches aren't that important. And that's the problem we have right now is, again, complacency and a mentality that is not, we need to do everything we can to win this game right now.
Yep.
See,
nailed it right on the head.
now I need to grab the Herm Edwards drop. I attributed it incorrectly to Dennis Green. We knew who we thought they were as Dennis Green. You played to win the game as Herm Edwards. All right, so let's get into Matt Turner.
Dennis Green was they are who we thought they were.
Yes, and then we let him off the hook. So that might also be appropriate. I'm probably going to have to get both of them. All right, so contributor Niall is discussing Matt Turner. Let's go ahead and discuss Matt Turner. No, Miles did not get in this match.
No.
And
which he should have been. I'm sorry. He should have started. And that's the other thing. That was the only part of that starting lineup I thought was bad. I thought the Tim Ream CCV decision was stupid on Greg. It was naive on Greg's part.
I agree.
It was naive. If you put Chris Richards and Miles Robinson, 2 very athletic, gifted center backs, against a Trinidad team who is going to score on counterattacks and crossing, that's how they're going to score. That would have been the only change to the starting lineup I would have made. But
all right. So then let's discuss
Matt Turner.
Yes, Matt Turner, go. Index finger pointing at Bart.
Look, he gave up a really soft goal.
Yeah.
He should have saved it. That's your job in that moment. as a goalkeeper, unfortunately, we are tasked with cleaning up the mess of the 10 players, and in this case, 9 players in front of us. But he should have saved that goal. That free kick should not have gone in. You can talk about, it knuckled or it hit him in the damn palms. It hit both of his hands. That ball cannot go in the back of the net. And look, the problem we have behind that is Matt Turner's not starting at his club. He's not getting as consistent minutes as we were hoping he would get going to Nottingham Forest.
Yep.
But John, who's coming up behind him? Who's coming up behind him? There's not anyone right now in this U.S. keeper pool that maybe Ethan Horvath, who has been good for us, but has also had howlers.
Ooh. Drake
They're looking to replace him with David De Gea. That tells you how good of a goalkeeper he actually is. Well, I'm sorry.
That's buddy. That's buddy cop. That's Tango and Cash. That's what that is.
But there's not Drake Callender is not that dude. He's just not.
I'm thinking hot hand right now more than anything else. Drake Callender's getting Sean Johnson.
When's the last time Drake Callender played a damn soccer game, John?
Yeah, well, when's the last time
that mattered? Not not Noche del Goat or
no. When was the last time that Greg Berhalter went with somebody other than Matt Turner in a match?
Greg Berhalter? Ooh, I don't know. We had Horvath once or twice. Actually, Horvath. The last match I can remember Horvath playing was the Nations League last summer against Nicaragua.
All right,
there.
So then
had a howler.
So then follow-up question: What should the goalkeeper camp be then? If
I'm telling you, the problem is the goalkeeper camp is what it is. Mm-hmm. There's no one stepping up to really. I mean, I don't think that your Turner, Horvath, Slonina is a bad group of 3. The problem is none of them are an elite level goalkeeper like we're used to seeing from the U.S. men's national team. Stefan is not it. Callender is not there yet. Sean Johnson's almost as old as Brad Guzan. And I say that with 2 bad knees at the same age as Sean Johnson. You could look at a guy like Roman Celentano or Schultz from Columbus, or those are guys who are progressing, and we can talk about them. And Chris Brady is another one, right? These are good young goalkeepers. They're not there yet, right? Yeah. But the problem still can't be when you look at this roster, John. It is definitively and indefatigably better than what Trinidad and Tobago put out there, and we still looked bad in 2 games in a row and lost one. Greg Berhalter has 1 win on the road. 1 win on the road in CONCACAF during his time as manager. That is bad.
I would imagine so, yes. Indefatigably. I actually spelled that
Indefatigably.
Right. Indefatigably. Maddy Cruz for Bart Keeler.
I mean, you brought it up too. I mean, how much of, and I think me and John talked about this with some of the Twitch members as well earlier, but I mean, looking on into the decision with Dest and that culture surrounding it, how much of it do you think is at fault of Berhalter or just as fault as Dest being a hothead, and kind of how that's going to relay going into for the next couple games?
Well, I don't think you can correlate what Dest did to Berhalter directly, because Dest did something kind of similar back in June in the Nations League semifinal against Mexico. So
last player to get an assist in a red before Dest getting an assist in a red was Dest.
Right. So, but that right there is kind of the that's the mercurial nature of Sergiño Dest is you need him on the field because that assist in both games was very nice. You love the right back to left back for a diving header assist. That's fantastic. And that's, again, like the tactics in this game until the Dest red card were great. You had Jedi, you had Brendo, you had Pepe, you had Ballo had a terrible game, but we can talk about that later. they were doing well. And Sergiño Dest was part of that. And he had a pretty good response to a bad game. I don't think he was the worst player on the field, but a bad game against Trinidad the first time around. But it's a problem that needs to be addressed. He seemed somewhat conciliatory and remorseful in his Instagram post last night, but an apology has to be backed up with action and correction. And, he's going to go a long time without playing for the national team because he can't play until the final of the Nations League, I would imagine. If he even gets that, it wouldn't surprise me if he's set for that game as well. And I don't agree with the people saying he should take a long step. No, people get red cards. It stop. But he has to understand what he did was serious and does hurt the team. And one game, it may also, we don't know, it could be more, John. We've seen this in MLS where a guy failing to leave the field to play in a timely manner gets an extra game tacked on. So we'll see what CONCACAF decides to do about that. But I wouldn't be shocked if he's not playing at all during the Nations League finals.
All right. So as Bart controls the boss there. Question from Ricky, and this is where the whiplash nature of Twitch pitch, everything integrates.
Excuse me. Sorry about my dogs. They're going crazy right now.
Maddy, make sure that the UPS person, in the mail it's all good.
Listen, man.
All right. So then Ricky asks Bart, are there any uncommitted dual nationals that the U.S. can get or flip when it comes to the keeper?
So the answer is yes. But in keeper position, I don't think so.
Yeah.
None that would elevate our game. Right. And again, that's the issue, is that Matt Turner right now is still the pinnacle of U.S. goalkeeping, and the guys behind him aren't there yet. This is a down era, if you will, for U.S. men's national team goalkeeping. And it just, we thought that it was going to be Stefan, who has proved to not be it. I think Matt Turner is still your number one. But again, as a goalkeeper, I'll say Matt Turner, no one feels worse about that goal than Matt Turner, but he is in a dip of form. And I think that's kind of the thing for me, is Matt Turner does have highs and lows with his form. But his high is way higher than anyone else. His low is still better than most of our goalkeepers. But we do have dual nationals we could flip in other positions. You may know a guy named Luka Kolyosha who plays for Burnley. You probably watch him if your team's playing them. I know there aren't any Burnley fans in the Twitch pitch, but JJ Watt might be able to do some help there. Maybe we get JJ to I don't know, take him out for a nice American dinner out there in Burnley, get him some real food.
Yeah, little HBO, a little basic cable.
Yeah. But there are. But the problem, John, again, was that roster, the lineup that played last night.
To your
is
point,
better than what it should have been.
Contributor Niall says, if I was Berhalter, I would have laid into Dest, but I don't know if that's in Greg's DNA. He's done this twice now. I tell him, you're not getting picked up if you keep doing this. There are fullbacks I would personally call up over Dest. Brooks Lennon is an example. I'm shocked he hasn't been called up with his numbers, 12 assists and 4 goals.
I have defended Brooks Lennon as an Atlanta United player for a while. But I do think that there are right backs ahead of him. We saw one of them last night, Joe Scally come in. Brian Reynolds currently playing for the U23s. But I think Brooks deserves a look. And, we'll obviously probably get something come out in the next month about a Camp Cupcake in January. And I would like to see Brooks in one of those camps, because I do think it could be useful. But, we even still have DeJuan Jones, who has been pretty decent for the U.S. men's national team, good at the CONCACAF level, who can play right and left back as well. So I think the problem for Brooks is that there are guys behind or above him. The problem for Dest, though, is there are guys behind him who are pretty good. None of them, though, can do the things that Sergiño Dest does in attack. And that's the problem here, is he's super special.
Maddy for Bart Keeler.
I mean, it also begs the question, you have Brooks Lennon. I've said it too. I would love to see him go up there. I don't necessarily think right now he's going to be over anybody else, but I do want to see him get called up. So I like that point. I love Brooks Lennon as an Atlanta United fan. I'm pulling for him. But I mean, I guess that just goes to the question: is there anybody on the younger side, like the U17s, that we can kind of bring up as well to kind of being placeholders for that, and how can we develop them more to kind of get them onto the national team, first team?
Well, I said Ryan Reynolds, who's with the U23s right now. He's in that Olympic age. I don't know if I'm ready to pull anyone up from the U20s or U17s quite yet. Just because, one, they're in their stage of development where they need to be. And two, no one's fully kind of broken out of that. And again, Sergiño Dest is at a level that no one else can really reach. I mean, he's playing Champions League matches for PSV, and he'll probably hopefully be playing Europa League after Arsenal wins that group. So sorry, I had to get one in there. But I don't think there's anyone from the younger outside of Ryan Reynolds who's ready to make that step up. I mentioned DeJuan Jones could play right back. Obviously, Joe Scally on the team right now, probably the right back, especially now that we have Christopher Lund, who seems to be a solid left back backup for Jedi. You don't have to worry so much about Joe Scally being called in to deputize at left back. So I don't think there's a younger player in that sense now. And Caleb Wiley's a left back now.
Yeah. 85th minute. Who's on this U23 roster that's playing Morocco, by the way, in this match?
Actually, it's a pretty decent roster. Benjamin Kramaski. I was a little upset that Caleb wasn't a part of this camp, but I think that there are things who knows if that's a Caleb decision or a U.S. Soccer decision, honestly, at this point.
Yeah.
The kid just played a full season of soccer.
Right.
Kamachki's on there. Brady is on there. A lot of the Philly kids, McGlynn, I believe Sullivan's on there. You had Tolkien, I believe, is on there, if I'm remembering correctly. Okay. It's a pretty good group. And again, this is all trying to just build toward that 2024 Olympics. And honestly, as I will say repeatedly with youth national teams, the results are not as important as the performance, individual and team-wise. And, you're just trying to build camaraderie, build cohesion, and get enough of these guys in your U23 pool so that you can pull from them when the Olympics come calling next summer.
San Pedro del Pinatar is the location of the prefab stadium that has been created. It looks like it's on the coast.
I'm glad you said that, not me.
San Pedro del Pinatar?
Yeah.
Just say it quickly. That's the easiest thing. If there's something that you can't pronounce, just blow through it quick, and then you come close. Looks like it's a gorgeous prefab facility that's been placed into some kind of a resort camp kind of a deal. 86-minute Morocco leading 1-0 on the U23 side of the friendlies. Nix has a question. Can we please talk about Brendan Aronson? Why is he still getting all these opportunities? He was on the ground more than on his feet last night.
Well, that's what happens, Jason, when you get kicked all over the field and the other team isn't given a yellow card until the 80-something minute. I was very disappointed in the officiating last night. I thought it had no effect on the game. Do not even try to spin that as me saying that it did. But he was a bad official last night. He didn't control the match very well at all. And
no.
One of those areas in which it was out of control was Trinidad just bullying Brendan Aronson. Now, part of that is, we call him the little brother of America because he kind of gets little brothered a lot. But, I think the problem again is who behind Brendo is getting those opportunities, because you gave Kevin Paredes a start at home and he wasn't good. That's true. So if you have Pulisic out, you have Weah out, who's playing that wing position? I mean, who do you give it to? Certainly not Cade Cowell, who hasn't shown anything, both league or national team play this year. Let me rephrase that. Hasn't shown any actual product in league or national team play. He's a lot of flash. The hair is great, but
I was going to say, fine head of hair.
But Brendo's getting in good positions to score goals, and eventually you have to hope that that's going to happen. He had several chances in the first game. He had a couple in the second game, and they just didn't work. But Greg's always going to pick Brendan because he works hard, he presses well, and that it's a little bit of a flashback to older generations of U.S. men's national team players. But you got to have that in a squad too, of a guy who's just going to continually work hard and fight to get the ball back. Unfortunately, he's like 5'2", 98 pounds, and not going to win that over a Trinidadian center back who's 38 years old. So,
and is 6'5" and about 230.
Yeah. They didn't play Hackshaw last night though. The Portly one.
There was no Neville Hackshaw sightings last night. That's correct.
No, I don't think there was.
We got to see Ryan Telfer though. That from the Miami FC and other places. Maddy, go for it.
I mean, going on to the semifinal, whoever we end up playing in the CONCACAF Nations League. I mean,
which, by the way, we don't have a set bracket. I want to they will re-rank us by CONCACAF rankings at that point. I don't get it. We can talk about that when we talk about Copa America in a second, by the way.
Okay.
But I mean, looking ahead to that, who do you want to see starting, and also what adjustments do you think need to be made before going into that semifinal?
Well, I mean, I think the starting lineup's going to write itself, and we've talked about this on Soccer for Us for a while. Is that there is a very set 11 plus 5 or 6 others, right? We have a core, almost 18 at this point that we know. You're going to see basically what we saw against Trinidad in the home match, plus / minus Paredes and Tillman. You're going to add Pulisic and Weah. Hopefully we get Tyler Adams back by then, because last night was a game that was screaming for Tyler Adams, and obviously wasn't available. But the lineup's going to be what it has been. I mean, the problem that we are kind of running into is when we had because the last cycle we brought guys in at such young ages, they're established veterans. That's a plus in some ways, but we haven't really seen an evolution because these guys are so good. But the tactics need to change, and that sometimes the tactics are being a little bit more direct. I think that was something that Greg tried to instill toward the end of his last cycle and has kind of gotten away of. A little bit more direct, but at the same time, you're not going to be playing a team, especially in the first match that we saw, that's literally putting 10 players behind the ball, 9 of them in the box. So that should hopefully help. Problem is, we could be seeing Panama, could be seeing Honduras, 2 teams who are playing, especially Panama, a team that is playing with so much confidence and so much swagger, and with such a clear identity of who they want to be. And that would be something that would be really cool to have as the U.S. men's national team, outside of just a team who has the ball a lot.
All right. 91st minute, 3 minutes have been added. Morocco still leading the United States by the score of 1-0. Copa America. So the remaining topics I've got on the board: Copa America, the women's team roster, considering it's a roster, well, that'll be the next topic. And then the reffing down here with the IFAB Wenger rule being discussed later today, or it might be being discussed right now, considering it's almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Overseas.
Jason, hold on. No, Nations League semis and finals are in Dallas. They're in Arlington, AT&T Stadium.
Yes.
And the play-in matches for Copa America, which the teams who lose these quarterfinals, they'll be playing in Frisco. So you could be seeing Mexico playing a play-in match in Frisco, Texas, while the U.S., Canada, Honduras, and Panama are playing the semifinals and finals.
Ooh, buddy. Oh, man. Yeah. That just is a bit of a mind bender in and of itself if results go a certain way tonight. So Bart Keeler at Bartimus Prime 19 hanging out with us as he always does at 10:30 on a given day of the week. If nothing's going on, it's a Wednesday. What's the mug for today, by the way?
Drink coffee, do good.
There you go. So. And then if there is MNT action or WNT action, he will join us traditionally the day after for postmortems and yelling and ranting and raving and screaming and correcting the narratives that are out there. So Copa America was announced yesterday, and I'm just going to phrase it this way. How much of a big blanking deal is this?
Oh, I mean, it's awesome because when you look at the other stadium or cities that have been leaked / announced, right? We know Miami's hosting the final. We understand Miami's hosting the final for Copa America. That's the capital of the Caribbean, the capital of Latin America, certainly the capital of Latin American culture and heritage in this country.
It's the capital of Messi and friends.
Yeah, it's also Messi's hometown. But we understand that. The other two that Andres Cantor let out was Vegas and LA for the semifinals. I don't know if anyone saw that, but not confirmed, but that's what he reported. Atlanta is up there, and you don't put an opening match in a not important city. Does it help that we have, there you go. Does it help that we have a fantastic stadium, 71,000 seats that is a great showcase or a great stage for any great sporting event, yes, that helps. But there are others. I mean, you could have given the opening match to Vegas or LA or Dallas or Houston. You didn't. They chose Atlanta.
The reigning home of U.S. soccer headquarters.
The capital of U.S. soccer. We're going to have to make scarves and stickers out of that. So working on that. That's my
there you
project
go.
this winter.
1-0 final in Spain, by the way, on the friendly.
Dang.
It's a big deal. It is a big deal. What I'm most excited for, in talking with Doug Robertson last night, shout out Doug, we're going to get to again see this stadium put down grass and see what it looks like. And to me, that's a big deal because, I understand there's a lot of time that goes into that before the match is played. And there's not a lot of time you can play on that surface after the match because of the way the grass grows or doesn't grow. But, I think it's good to test this out again before the World Cup. Now, if only there were a university in the state that had some sort of turf science and management that could figure out a better way to grow grass without grass being there. Instead of they're trying to win national championships in football. And I think their priorities are out of line. They should be focusing on building a better way to grow grass for the World Cup and not, trying to win football games.
3 in a row. Jason, yeah, exactly, brother.
Jason's not on this morning, so I can say that.
Yeah. Hey, and you're bowl eligible, and you got a big game coming up this weekend.
If I don't think about it, it makes me feel better.
Oh man, Maddy for Bart about Copa America. Go.
I mean, I know when I saw the news, I was so excited. I saw the news. I came home and immediately my stepbrother too was like, "Did you see the news?" I was like, "I did," and I'm already looking at tickets because I want to go so bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess just on top of it, Atlanta has grown and has always been known as a soccer city. But I guess just what is this going to do more in progressing soccer firmly here in terms of an international level?
Yeah, so I think from the international level, this is actually something that I'm hopeful for. And I think Atlanta United, first off, has a great Latino fan base. A lot of our chants are in Spanish because we have a lot of Spanish-speaking and Latino people in the supporter section and in our fan base in general. But this, to me, makes that even more, it cements us, puts us in front of even more of that population, which is a thriving population here in Atlanta. The Latino community, not just in Atlanta, but even in suburbs outside of it, is amazing. Hopefully this allows Atlanta United to get a little bit more saturated into these markets, if they'll allow me to make some marketing speech there. I think, if you want my honest opinion, I think they missed that mark a little bit when Messi didn't come to town, but Miami came to town, and there were a ton of Messi/Inter Miami jerseys in the building, none of whom actually were cheering for Inter Miami. And they missed an opportunity to, I think a lot of MLS teams did. They should have had some sort of t-shirt or towel or something of a giveaway, for everyone who walked into that stadium. But it's just another opportunity to put your brand, if you will, in front of as an audience that really could love your brand more than you could conceive. And they've done a good job of it already, but it's just another opportunity to get into that market.
Niall, contributor Niall, he's probably not far off the mark. He says he wants Argentina to play in the opening match.
Yeah. So the way, we don't know for sure, the draw is December 7th.
Correct.
We don't exactly know how they're going to be seeding the teams sequentially, but we do know that the seeding is done based on the FIFA rankings for all the qualified teams. So you have the 10 CONMEBOL teams and the 6 CONCACAF teams. U.S. is qualified. We're in. As of right now, the U.S. is ranked 11th in the FIFA rankings. We are the highest ranked CONCACAF team and the third highest ranked team between both confederations. We're behind Brazil and Argentina. That's not going to change. I don't envision Colombia or Uruguay jumping us because we played competitive matches while they also were playing competitive matches. And I don't think the points are going to sway too much. Because I think Colombia is like 19 and Uruguay is 15 or 16. So that's a lot for them to have to jump. So point is, I think the U.S. specifically will be a top 4 team. Argentina most likely will stay at that number 1. I don't see them slipping. So you'll probably see U.S. in pot 1 with Argentina and Brazil, possibly Mexico, possibly another South American team. We don't know if Argentina, as the top-ranked team, will be automatically placed in A1. We don't know that. I would imagine that they will try to do that. Obviously, the U.S. is not Team A1 because we're not truly the host team. We are hosting the tournament, but we just did it as a favor to, I think, Ecuador because they backed out of hosting duties. So the U.S. stepped in. We're not the hosts. We don't get those privileges like others have in the past, like we did in 2016 for the Centenario, which was its own tournament that we decided to host. So yes, I think the most likely scenario is Argentina is playing in Atlanta for that opening match, but that is not a given because we just don't know how CONMEBOL is going to place the teams once they're seeded into the 4 pots.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be a 1 versus a 16.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, John. We don't know what the draw, like you'll have the top 4 in pot 1, teams 5 through 8, 9 through 12, 13 through 16. So I'm with you. Like, we don't know if that means like if they're doing it, snake draft, or they're truly doing a draw. We don't really know. But it's most likely that Argentina is, of all the scenarios, Argentina playing in Atlanta for that opening match is the most likely.
And then the U.S., of course, gets one of those sneaky 3-14 games where everybody might pick the 14 seed come that time of year anyway. A couple other things before we go. The USWNT roster is out. No Alex Morgan.
Yeah, I think part of this is they didn't really talk a lot about Twyla specifically said she wasn't going to reveal the details of the conversations with some of the players left off. I would imagine because you also are missing like Crystal Dunn, US. Some of these players are probably just like, yo, I'll take the break. I don't know if they said don't include me. I don't think that's it, but they probably are very understanding of why we're calling in some younger, fresher faces.
Well, and Mewis has got some things that she's got to work on. She's got to plan something, man.
Listen, Christy's got to go watch her fiance go play at Chelsea. She's also scouting future U.S. Women's National Team coach Emma Hayes for us. So, good for Christy making that official. The thing that we've known for forever is official.
Yeah.
But it's a good roster because it's a good opportunity before the W Gold Cup, because this is the last camp before that, to kind of broaden the player pool just a little bit, expand it a little bit, and just be able to make some more informed decisions, because there are some of these players who I think there's 9 or 10 that were left off from the World Cup roster. There's a couple that we could be seeing the page truly turning on them. Sauerbrunn, not on the World Cup roster, but it wouldn't surprise me if, as much as everyone loves her, we start moving away from Becky. Alyssa Nair is another one that I think we're going to need to start moving on from. Nothing against her. It's just, why are we delaying the inevitable type of thing? It wouldn't surprise me if Mewis has seen her last days with the U.S. national team. But players like Dunn, Huerta, Morgan, they'll have roles to play as we go forward. But it's just for this camp, it makes sense to call in players like Jenna Neiswanger or Sam Coffey, again, or even, not bring Alex Morgan so you can bring Fischel and Hatch. These are fine. It's fine.
I agree. I think it's nice to see like a different, like you said, like broadening the roster and seeing like these new players kind of step up and see kind of how this can turn. I think in this camp, they're going to come in and then, moving on to the Gold Cup, we might see Alex Morgan and all them come back in to be more of a veteran role. But for right now, you want to bring in these players, you want to try new things. honestly, like with the new head coach, they want to try new things. And I mean, you want to see what players you have at your disposal, and you want to kind of see how they work together and see what fits, what doesn't. And then that way, when you go to the Gold Cup, you can kind of mesh the younger and the new players with some of the more veteran ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, again, with Nair, it allows you to bring in Jane Campbell, right? Who she's 28. She's not old by any stretch for a goalkeeper. She could very much be a key in this cycle. I don't think Audrey Kingsbury is staying around much longer, but hey, whatever. I think it's fine to move on from, the Nair, the Morgan, even Dunn, and say, okay, let's see what the younger players can give us. So you're right. I think one thing that Vlatko did well in his time is give opportunities like these types of late year or early year camps to bring in newer faces, because we've seen how with the U.S. men's national team, you have a specific camp every year that is for kind of fringe guys who maybe not, truly looked at. And sometimes it's beneficial, and we've decried it a lot, but it is nice to be able to expand your pool a little bit. And for the women, we haven't really seen that. It's like, well, you get 23 to 26 players, and that seems to just be who you keep calling in. It's good to look at other players in camp and not just look at them on film or in person at their club game.
U17s lose after having two comebacks, lose 3-2 to Germany in the round of 16 of the U17 World Cup. Quickly on that. Again,
I think performance matters more than actual results, and this team has played exciting soccer throughout the tournament. The France game is an anomaly because you rotated so much, but even then, it wasn't like they were terrible. They just lost to a really good France team. I am excited to see how Crocker and company continue to prioritize youth national teams, because I do think that was something that U.S. soccer didn't do a whole lot of in recent years. And it will make your senior team better if you have good national team or youth national team structures. And we just haven't had a whole lot of that.
And not getting up at 3:30 in the morning to watch that either. So,
yeah, I mean, look, it's on my YouTube TV to watch.
There you go.
Listen,
it'll be on tape from Indonesia. It will not be
hit that record button, y'all.
Exactly. So Bart, I think the next
time.
Do
we want to talk reffing down here?
Well, we can. I mean, what's on your reffing down here, Mike?
Well, we talked about. I mean, I know the Arsene Wenger offside rule is up for.
It's debate. It's up for debate. Yeah. And whether IFAB would change it and actually go with the Wenger rule or not.
Here's why I have confidence in IFAB that they won't change it, because I think this would be a very bad change to the laws of the game, because it would not make the game better for everyone. I think it makes a whole lot of sense at the pro and international level for those countries that implement VAR, because it is a clearer way and a almost fairer way of determining are you offside or not. I think more people would have better. They would be able to take in and process better. Oh, well, his boot cleat is still not farther behind the goal. Not in front of the attacker, right? I think, or the defender. I think we would be able to comprehend that a little bit better than. Oh, well, his booger is offside, which is, seems to be sorry. That just seems to be, his Mesut Ozil's eyeballs are offside or whatever.
Ew.
Come on, Josh. We're all we listen.
Mental images down here.
Well, sorry, but that's how it has felt like with some of these VAR decisions recently. I don't think that's applicable to someone like me at the grassroots level. You're going to have just as much controversy, because now I'm like, well, was there truly daylight when you've got guys running and there's daylight all everywhere? What's daylight? I don't. It's harder. That to me is harder to judge. Than is there part of the playable part of their body in front of the defender, rather than is their entire body past that line.
Basically, just the inverse. Instead of it being if one part is off, he's off. If one part is on, he's on.
Right. And some of that is, I think you could say, oh, well, this is a better an easier way, because if you get it wrong, it's easier to say, oh, well, I thought he was, fully onside or whatever. But I think we need to just improve the semi-automatic technology. And then if we have to review things, we can go there. Because with the semi-automatic stuff, for me, that's great for quick decisions, just checking goals. And I think that's where people get really confused, is why is it taking so long to rule a goal good or not? And that way, when we know that it goes to truly a VAR review, it's elevated to something that's a little bit more than just, is he on or off? Talk about that Harry Maguire goal from 3 weeks ago, where one, I think the fault there was putting Harry Maguire on the soccer field, but that's neither here nor there. I think Manchester United should continue to do that if I were them, but maybe not the best decision if you want to win games. But that's an example of, okay, we need to actually look at, is he onside or offside? And that maybe eliminates some of the confusion of, okay, we know that they're looking at something a little extra than just someone's on or offside, the goal scorer's on or offside, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it does. It absolutely does, because it makes more sense here than it does when people are trying to speak about it in English. Let's see. Breaking news before we go. Greenville Triumph have named their new head coach to succeed John Harkes. It is Rick Wright being elevated from the lead assistant's position. He's been an assistant ever since 2019, and the program came online. So Rick Wright gets promoted to be head coach and technical director. Our MLS season pass announcers for the semis have been announced. Keith and Mo for Purple Team in Columbus. Kanji and Danny for the game that's probably going to set the world back about a good 20 years with Philly and FC Cincinnati. Kevin and Kendra doing Houston and Sporting, and Jake and TT get to do Seattle and LAFC. So I will be listening to the local radio call. That's what I'll be doing.
I guess that makes sense, because people still think Seattle and LA are good at soccer. So I suppose that's why they think that's the most exciting matchup of that round.
Yeah, no doubt. Sure. No, I will be listening to the local radio option or something other than that. So, Bart, what's the plans for Thanksgiving?
Tomorrow, I'm driving to Athens, and then Milledgeville, and then Bluffton, South Carolina.
Okay.
Picking up a brother in Athens, picking up a brother in Milledgeville, and then we're driving to Bluffton.
Okay.
The one at Statesboro is already in Bluffton because that's close. So
Okay.
Don't need to go pick him up.
All right.
Spending Thanksgiving in a 55 and up community with my aunt and the rest of my family.
Okay. So then let me ask you this. Is there a Keeler family specific dish that is attached to the Thanksgiving?
Yeah. So our big dish is broccoli casserole, but it's not broccoli casserole made with a condensed soup of any kind. Okay. We don't do that. It is broccoli and butter and cheese and Ritz crackers and more cheese.
Okay.
So it's not a soup-based casserole. We do have that for the green bean casserole, but no, ours is not a soup-based casserole, which means it's healthy.
Oh, we can't have that. Maddy, what about the Cruz family hacienda celebration?
Everyone's coming here for the first time. Most of my family lives up in Athens, so they're all coming here to Swanee, and we're gonna have some fun stuff here. We're gonna hang out. We got the whole place decorated, looking for Christmas, because it is Christmas time. I don't care what anyone says.
It's not Thanksgiving time yet. It can't be Christmas until you pass Thanksgiving. Black Friday.
As soon as Halloween's over, it's Christmas.
Are you one of those people that wants to have July 4th and have the holiday decorations up for
John, there's no liturgical calendar for holidays, okay?
There isn't. I love Christmas. I will celebrate it all the time, every day, if I can.
All right. I understand that. We'll be back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow. We'll talk more stuff. Maddy, thanks for filling in at the beginning and the end today, being two different roles, the spleen venting Maddy and then the Q&A Maddy, hanging out here with Bart.
Yeah, you got to see my venting side earlier. That was an intriguing. I tamed it down. I was more mad last night.
Hold on. Abby has a great point. So December 7th, Hanukkah begins, right?
Yeah.
That's also the day of the first of the Copa America draws. So that's like a huge day to celebrate. We should all just take off work.
I agree.
We'll be talking about it on the 7th and the 8th. We'll be doing that too. So both of you enjoy the holidays. We'll be back at it again here 9:05 tomorrow morning. The 4th hung up the light board on the side of the road, and we did World Cup time today. we definitely had the World Cup extra minutes going on. So both of you, please have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Take advantage of the Black Friday sales, and we'll be back at it again. 9:05 tomorrow morning. For Maddy and Bart, I'm John, and if I can find the way to get out of here, Mucha Plata, y'all played safe. It's the end of the show. That means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again in the morning. Bye.